Hello friends, in this data science tutorial we are going to talk about the following topics here. So before that, something which is important is reference books. So you can refer the following three books. The first book is Data Science from the Scratch, the second book is Introduction to Data Science, and the third book is Data Science Principles. So let's talk about the topics. So the first topic here which I am going to talk is about why data science, and then we are going to define data science, what is data science itself, then the prerequisites, and who is called the data scientist, and we will consider some case studies also. So let's begin here. Why data science? So friends, we are living in a world where a huge amount of data is collected daily. So this data can be generated by different sources. So the sources here, the first source which can generate a large volume of data is called social media, like Facebook, Twitter, and Yahoo, Gmail. These are the social medias and so on. They are generating daily huge amount of data. For example, if you consider Facebook, and Facebook, any like which we are giving to something is considered as data. The comments we are writing there or sharing something, so they are all considered as data. Online transactions, for example, if you are going for online shopping or maybe like banking, so they are all nothing but the data. And also if you consider science and technology, health and education, engineering and databases, and also mobile phones, IoT devices, they are all the sources generating a large volume of data. For example, if you consider your mobile phone is generating every day the location where you are living, or the location or the path where you are going. So it is always generating the data here, and that data will be stored in some servers. So IoT devices, nowadays so many AI devices are there, like cameras and other surveillances. They are generating data daily, and this huge amount of data will be stored in some servers. So the data here ranges from terabyte to petabytes. So this huge amount of data may reside unutilized in unknown servers, which is very important here. And by the evolution of data science, this data can be accessed, and then it can be analyzed and processed, and then at the end it will be converted to something called useful information. So instead of dummy data which is reside in unutilized servers or unknown servers, so it is better to take the data and analyze the data, process the data, and convert it to something useful which is important. And this is done by the help of data science. So according to Butte, Stanford, hiding within those mounds of data is knowledge. So the data which is stored in unknown servers, some people may consider they are as a dummy data, but they are not dummy data. So this is the data which have to be like analyzed and converted to something useful. So he says that could change the life of a patient or change the world. So if you are considering it as a only dummy data, so it is not dummy data, it is a huge amount of data which is stored in those servers. So taking those data and analyze and process the data and converting it to useful information, that may change the life of a patient or may change the whole world. So the real power of data science is analysis, processing the data, studying and implementing the conclusion derived from the analysis. Data science helps you to collect accurate data, take timely and more informed strategic decisions. So these are the reasons that we are going for data science, because the dummy data which is stored there, it is not actually the dummy data. So it is the data. Within the data, there is something hidden that should be extracted. That is called the knowledge. That may be the life of a patient, or that may be something which saves the world or may change the world. So this is all done by the help of data science. So let's consider the second question which is asked here. So the second question is, what is then data science? So according to the book Data Science from the Scratch, they are defining the data science is the sexiest job of 21st century. Another thing, if we consider the term data science itself, it is taken from the two words data and science. So we know that what is data? Data is something unprocessed or raw materials we can say, and science is the body of knowledge, or it is called process. So if you are combining these two, so data science means we are converting and processing the raw materials into something meaningful, and that meaningful thing is called knowledge. Extraction of knowledge from a large volume of data, and that data may be structured or unstructured, is called data science. So the next thing is here. So data science is mainly needed for, here we are using the data science for better decision making. For example, whether A or B. So A or B needs a decision here. So this is data science, help us to take a better decision. Predictive analysis, for example, what will happen next? So here data science helps a lot. Another one, pattern discovery, and that is nothing but, is there any hidden information in the data? So this is done by the help of data science. The relationship between the data and the pattern, the base pattern, and also the hidden information, so they are all discovered by the help of data science. Let's see the prerequisites here, which are important for us if we want to understand what it is data science. The prerequisites here, the first thing is database knowledge. If someone wants to be a data scientist, or you want to learn data science, so minimum you have to have some knowledge of database, how to store the data, how to extract the data from the databases, and these are something important here. It helps a lot. And also the second prerequisite here is the maths and statistics, because on the data, whenever we are analyzing the data, we need to do some calculations and we need to test some hypotheses, those things. So we need maths and statistics. Some knowledge from maths and statistics is also important. And the next thing is here programming tools. And the programming tools here, for example, R language or Python language, we have to know these languages for to perform analytics in data. And if we have some knowledge of wrangling, data wrangling means cleaning the data, manipulating the data, and organizing the data. It helps you a lot. And if you have some knowledge of machine learning, so it provides system the ability to automatically learn and improve from experience without being explicit programmed to. So this is also important programming, machine learning. So because we are analyzing the data and it is done by machine learning, we are feeding our data to the machine or the algorithms we are designing here. So that is also important. Some basics of big data, if you know, that is important, that is also necessary. So that is also helping you a lot. Like big data is a data which has a large size, so it has volume, velocity, veracity. So these are the characteristics of big data. And the next thing, if you are familiar with data visualization, it is important because some technical people will know whatever you are analyzing, but for those who are not familiar with data science, so for them it will be difficult to explain all those things, process what you have done. Instead, if you are showing them in the form of diagrams, charts, graphs, these things, it will be more understandable for them. And also it says like a picture is better than 1,000 words, so it will be more understandable instead of being in the form of document something. It is better to visualize the data using graphs, charts, those things. It will be more understandable. The next question here is, who is the data scientist? So the data scientist is the one who has the above skills. I mean, he has some knowledge about about the databases, something, statistics and maths, programming tools like Python, and he or she can wrangle the data, clean the data, manipulate the data, and has some knowledge about machine learning, big data, and can visualize the data. So these are some skills needed for a data scientist. And also the next thing, which is very important, the data science has the following task. So the first task here is data acquisition. This is the first task which should be done by data scientist. The data scientist is collecting the data. The data can be collected from different sources, as I mentioned above. So this data can be gathered and then later will be analyzed, cleaned, those things. So collection of data or gathering the data. And the next thing is preparing the data. Preparing the data is the second step, which is very important, and around 70 to 80% of time is consumed here, because it is very important to clean the data here. Cleaning the data, and cleaning the data means if there is some inconsistent something in data, maybe the data has some noisy data, or it may be noisy, or the data may have some outliers, or maybe null values there, missing values there. So it is important to clean the data, and then after cleaning the data, it is important to transfer the data. Transforming the data means normalizing the data, or data normalization. So the data may be in a large range, so that converting the large range into a smaller range means we are arranging the data between 0 and 1. So the whole data will be arranged between 0 and 1. So that is called max min normalization. So we have to normalize the data, or maybe we are using Z-score normalization. In Z-score normalization, the data will be arranged between -1, 0 and 1. So that whole range will be adopted to this range. So this is called data normalization, or it is called data transformation. And handling the outliers. The outliers are nothing but the extremes of data. Maybe we are having something which are out of bounds. So those things are called the outliers. It has to be removed from the data. And then data integration. After cleaning the data, we are keeping all the data together, so that is called data integration. And data reduction is the next step. Data reduction means we are reducing the size of data. So the size of data, reducing the size of data is not like if you are considered we have like 4 MB data, that will be reduced to 2 MB. But it may be, but you have to remember the main point here, the reduced data should be in a position to represent the whole data. If it is not in that position, so your calculation and your prediction may not be true, and it may not be accurate. For example, if you are arranging a meeting, students meeting, so in that students meeting, if you are inviting all the students from all the classes, in there are around 40 classes, in each class has around, for example, 30 to 35 students. If you are inviting them all, so there may be so many problems here. For example, we may face space problem, and we may face like noise there. It will be so noisy environment, and also it will be like we may not be able to reach our voice to the all students and convey our message to all of them. So instead of that, if we are choosing some of the students from each and every class, but we don't have to miss any class. For example, if you are inviting only the CEOs of the classes and we arrange the meeting and we tell them the message, and that message can be easily conveyed to all the classes. Instead of taking all the classes together, it is better to collect some of the data or some of the students from the classes, and that will be easy. But you don't have to miss anyone from the class, otherwise the data will be not accurate, it may be missed. So for example, see here in data cleaning, here I have a list here in Excel. For example, if we consider this table, in this table we have name and age. So these are the names ABCD I have put here. Any name should be there, any name can be there. But in ages I have 20, 22, 30. Okay, no problem. 20, 22, 23, these are correct values. But if I put like minus 90, so minus 19 is called inconsistent data. So this is the scientist or data scientist job, to clean the data, means to fix this problem. Or for example, see this seal has incomplete or missing value. So this is the task of a data scientist, to find a solution for this problem. Okay, there is no problem, 32 no problem, but what about this data, 400? The age of a person is 400. So this is called outlier or noisy data. This should be cached and it should be recovered, this problem. Okay, this is not a problem, but here we have null value. This should be this makes problem for us while we are doing calculations or testing the hypothesis. So it should be like cleaned. 30 no problem, but see here another problem what we have here, 20. Okay, 20 is no problem, but if you are writing 20 in the form of letters, so that is problem. We cannot do calculation on this value. So this is the job of a data scientist, to perform these operations. Data cleaning, as I said, 20 to 80% of time is consumed here to clean the data, transfer the data, normalize the data, handling the outliers, the noisy data, and integrate all the data together, and then do the redaction. Next thing is here data mining. So data mining means here like to discover the best pattern between the data and their relationship. So that is also important, and it is the task of being a data scientist. So data modeling, after completing and cleaning the data, this data should be fed to the model. We are training the model, testing the model, and then predicting the unseen data. So that is called data modeling. And the last point here is the task is called data maintenance. The next task of data scientist is data maintenance. Data maintenance means to look after the data timely and check the model, the performance of model, how the model is doing and how the model performs. So these are the tasks of a data scientist. Now let's see some case studies here. I have listed some of the examples here. Let's open the Jupyter notebook. So in Jupyter notebook I have imported some important libraries here, the pandas, and then NumPy, Seaborn. So here the first case I am going to case study is marketing. Let's say I am importing the data which is in the form of comma separated value. So I am reading it and displaying it here. So before this I have to execute this part, and for executing you have to press shift enter. So because I have used here PD, which is a variable of pandas, so it is giving me the error. It's taking some time. So this is executed. Now if I'm executing this part, so see here the data is displayed. So in this example we are considering how many columns are there in this table. There are 4 columns: TV, radio, newspaper and sales. So the sales, this column is called the response, or this one is called the output, and these 3 columns are called the inputs. And now we have to see the relationship between these columns. What are the relationships here? So for example, if you are using TVs for advertising, so how it is affecting the sale. If you are using radio for advertising, so what will be the effect of that on sales? And if you are using the newspapers, so what will be the effect of that? So we are seeing this is called the response, and these are called the inputs or the features. Now see, I'm showing this relationship using some graphs. See friends, in this first graph it shows the relationship between TV and sales, and somehow compared to this one, in this one a radio in sales, newspaper in sales. So the relationship between TV and sales is more close compared to these two, because here this is called the regression line, and the values, these are called the values, these values are close to this regression line and they are falling along that regression line. But here the values are more spreaded, but here see the values are more spreaded compared to this and this. It means there is a close relationship between sales and TV. And if this is not there, then it is better to use like radio and sales. That also shows some better compared to this one. But here the values are so much spreaded. Now let's see the second example case study here. Here we have again the second table, which is called income 1. In this income 1 I have education and I have income. So education is nothing but, this is called the feature and this one is called the response or the output. Now let's see the relationship between these two. So comparing, here the relation is so much close. It means if the education is more, so the income will be more. For example, if you are 12th standard, so you will be getting less salary. If you are bachelor, so that, see, it depends each value. So this one is education and this one is income. For example, if this point, if you are in 10th standard, so you will be getting around this much, 22,000. And you see, if you are like your PhD holder or maybe your master with more experience, so you will be getting the highest income, or you will be having the highest income. Let's see the next example here. Here in this income table, income 2, I have 3 columns. First column is education, then we have seniority, then we have income. So this income is the response value which depends on these 2 features. Now let's see the dependency, how this depends on these 2 features, and that will be shown through this graph. In this graph, see, if you are considering education and income, so there is a close relationship compared to this one, education and income. But if you are considering education and seniority, relationship is there, but it is not that much closer to this one. So this is the data science, what we are taking the data, analyzing the data and find the relationship between the data and then process, and then we can take the output and visualize it and will be converted to something meaningful and more understandable. Hope you understood something from this tutorial.